Hey everybody, Stu Smith here going live. Hope you are doing well this Tuesday morning. It is leg day here in Maryland, so we crushed that. Did a little swim with fins to top it off, and now taking some questions, giving some answers. May even do a CSS critique or two. If you want to ever submit your CSS to me, please do. Happy to comment on it. And if you don't want me sharing it, I won't, but that's up to you. Um, so, wrote a couple good articles this week. Some of them uh, by the name of Don't Train for the Test, in quotes, at your own risk. The reason why I wrote that, even though that is just phase one of tactical fitness, it is probably one of the most important because you'll never get to even try any particular training or program job that you want if you can't pass a certain standard to get in. And unfortunately, there's a massive amount of people that fail to enter into any of these programs in the military, even law enforcement, um, firefighters too, that can't pass that initial test to get into the training that's going to make them what they want to become. Um, so that's your first step right there. And, I hear often like, don't train for the test. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, you should train much more than the test. But if you can't pass the test, you're never going. So you definitely need to train for the test. So don't train it at your own risk. However, um, it needs to be so easy for you that you could pass this test after being sick, after working out, do it twice and still pass it. I mean, it needs to be on that kind of level of easy. And to get there, take some time, right? I mean, if it is a gut check just to barely pass it, after boot camp, when you're not specifically preparing for it anymore, and basically, if it's Navy, you're deconditioning for what you want to do after boot camp. Um, Chances are on your first PST that really counts, you're going to fail and you won't be able to move forward. Happens all the time. Um, More than I realized. Um, Put it that way. I was shocked that so many people can't get into the training just because they don't pass the fitness test. Now, what is that a problem of? It is a problem of young people thinking that they're in shape when they really aren't, and they really have no clue what in shape means. So, you got to do your research. You got to figure that out. You know, you got to be tough to crush that thing. So, if anybody has questions, I am happy to start taking them. I did do another article that takes that, training for the test mentality and bumps it up a level. The other article that I wrote was called, um, preparing to get through the training, aka graduate. And this one is, you know, again, most people just cap out at passing the PST. Those that there's two groups: those that pass the PST and those that don't. Right? That's how it works, basically, at that phase one of tactical fitness. Um, but then within that group that passes, there's a group that only train for the PST and never train to get through the next phase of training. So there's the other big set of attrition right there. So you can't just train only for the test. You got to start training specifically for whatever the next challenge is, whether that is buds, SF selection, PJ selection, whatever. Um, if you're not swimming and running and rucking and, lifting some weights just to get a little bit more durable under logs and boats, you're not ready. Unless you spent all your life working tough manual jobs and you're a natural swimmer. There have been some stories like that, but statistically speaking, those people are unicorns, right? Most of these people that make it through got through because they specifically train to get to the training by crushing a fitness test, and then they specifically trained to get through the training to endure whatever challenges they had to endure. Now, those are just standards. However, there will be some moments within that journey where your will be tested. All right, because we all come into this with certain weaknesses and strengths. And if you have a pretty glaring weakness that requires you to tap into mental toughness every time that is getting addressed, um, it's a longer challenge for you, but still very doable. Nothing wrong with bringing your A game, whenever you have to do a 4 mile timed run every week. That's something that I had to do personally. Um, but you gotta take your training to different levels. And unfortunately, now without the mentor program, you're probably going to get told along your journey by a recruiter or scout team folk that, hey, yeah, you just passed the PST. You're ready to go. Why don't you leave here in the next few weeks? You know, my advice is take some time to really make sure you're getting through the training. In fact, Jeff Nichols and I did a podcast, and I wrote an article around it, made a chart for you guys. It's just an assessment tool. In fact, I'll put it in here. I share this one often. This one's really important. Um, I'm going to put it in the description here up on YouTube and Facebook. It's just an assessment chart, gives you an idea of kind of where you need to be in your physical training to be in that group of people that are top 20% of a buds class at the beginning, because 80% are probably not going to be there anymore, so you definitely want to make sure you're in that top 20% when everything gets started. um, just recently discovered the importance of zone 2 training. Would rowing or biking zone 2 benefit your running endurance, or at least aerobically? Yes. In fact, I talk about this quite often, Louis. Um, a lot of people prefer, or shouldn't say prefer, think they have to do long, slow distance runs at a nice zone 2 heart rate. Um, well, really, all that's doing is one, getting used to running slowly, and two, just putting in a lot of impact on your shins and ankles and knees and hips. Um, so you can definitely do that with a non-impact option. I try to make my runs, and the runs of people that work out with us, mean something. So that's either a 6 minute pace or a 7 minute pace. So it's now easy to do a 6 minute mile for a mile and a half timed run. It's easy to do a 7 minute mile for 4 miles or 5 miles. So you're in that, above average range of running. But you don't want that to be a gut check either. You want to be able to hit like 26 or maybe 25, 30 hard, but be able to coast in at a 27, 30, 28, if that makes sense. So, and yes, you can do that with plenty of non-impact cardio activity. In fact, what I do, because a lot of these guys aren't able to run a lot of miles yet. They're trying to get better at running. So they think they just need to run more. Next thing that happens is they run more, and they go from like 20 miles a week to 35 miles a week, and then they wonder why they got knee tendonitis. Um, Answer is you just progressed way too quickly, right? So instead of doing that, keep it at 20 or whatever your mileage is and add time that it would take to get those extra miles, let's say 30 miles, but do that with biking and swimming. So my advice is to treat your aerobic base like a triathlete would. 2/3 of your aerobic based training will be non-impact cardio, and 1/3 of it will be running. That's a healthy way to do it, especially if you're new to running like this. Like if you're coming from a strength background and long distance is anything over 100 meters, that's how you do it. That's how I would recommend it and progress logically. I seen on your post on what is good enough for buds to be in the top half of the class. What 4 miles and 2 mile swims do you think would put you in the top couple candidates in your class? That's a good question. I would say if you can get your 2 mile swim down to 60 minutes, 65, you're probably going to be in the top 4 or 5 swim pairs. We had a few guys that could break 60. No one was catching them. They were fast. And then 4 miles, I'd say 26s were pretty solid. Um, you have to remember, when I say these are, hit it at a 28-minute mile or 28-minute 4 mile, buds is tough, right? A 28-minute run is easy, but you know, let's say it's day 5 of a week, it's Friday, and now you've gone through, a couple of days of log PT and running with boats on your head, and you've done a couple soft sand runs already and leg calisthenics. You've done probably a half mile of lunges with a log on your chest. And then by day 5, you have a 4 mile timed run, right? Your legs are toast, right? Being able to hit a 28-minute 4 mile run at that point is really good. Okay. So everybody looks at me funny when I say just worry about hitting a 28-minute easy, right? And if you hit 27:30 one day, great. That's fantastic. Um, Not every 4 mile timed run will be on a Friday, but sometimes they are. And that's usually when most people fail them because your legs are toast. So take that into account when I say, running a 4 mile timed run in 28 minutes. That sounds easy, but you're also wearing pants, you're wearing boots, you're on sand, not soft sand, but you're on sand. And it's just not ideal. I mean, you're not doing this on a track in shorts and after, a day of rest, you know. So that's where the grind occurs. So I think by me explaining that, it starts to make sense for you. Like, okay, it's a bigger issue than just running a 7-minute mile. It's running a 7-minute mile when your ass is tired and maybe even hurting or sick. Illness goes through that thing too. So, all right. Were you able to work out during boot camp at all? Well, I didn't go to boot camp. I went to the Naval Academy, which had, plebe summer, and we worked out throughout plebe summer, and it kicked my ass. Um, and so that wasn't an issue. Navy boot camp and plebe summer are two different animals. Um, Sucks. Both of them suck. But Naval Academy back in the 80s was very physical. Um, so it's a different story. Most people cannot work out on their own. Like there's hardly any time available to go work out. I think this last class that just uh, wrote me a letter just said they were able to get out for 15 minutes and go for a run or something, which is nice because you can get a couple miles in that way. Um, So I would highly recommend, doing that. Um, yeah, and you do some squats and lunges and push-ups, sit-ups, you know, probably before, maybe if you can wake up 30 minutes early before you go do your showers and stuff, I would I would try to do that. And break it up. Break it to a leg day and upper body day. If you can get laundry duty, you might be able to do some pull-ups on where they hang clothes. There's a couple different ways to do it. Hey coach, what strengthening exercises and running form tips would you suggest to avoid shin splints? Um, that's a good question. Jeff and I did a podcast on shin splints, and we're thinking about redoing it. In fact, I wrote an article with another guy who is a doctor of physical therapy. He's very helpful. In fact, I even placed it in the notes. In fact, I'm going to put it in the comment section here, and it's just fix your shin splints. um, Bigger exercises are like heel raises and toe raises. So lifting your toes off the ground with your heels put in. Those are definitely flex. But a lot of it has to do with ankle mobility too. So you definitely need to make sure you can stretch and flex your ankles to a point where they actually have some good range of motion in there. In fact, if you check out that article I just posted in the comment section, it's got some pretty good stretches in there that focus on shin and ankle mobility. In fact, let me share something else with you. Treading is all about ankle, hip mobility, and you're going to really see some good stretches in here. So it was funny because I kind of put two and two together recently, um, and noticed that the folks that were getting shin splints also sucked at treading. Um, like they couldn't tread. They could not get their feet in a position or their knees and hips in a position to tread water, whether it was the egg beater or if it was an effective scissor kick, even. Um, so, and then when they put on a pair of fins, it really hurt them, right? Because their ankle mobility was so stiff. But check out the treading, and I think if you can't run right now, check out that treading article I just submitted to the comment section because it has some great mobility exercises in it. It's got some great drills in it for you to still work on your cardio, but between the mobility, the treading, and the ankle mobility treading and some of the conditioning stuff, you can still kind of work out and not hurt your shins and focus on two things at once, if that makes sense. You're healing yourself for running again, but you're also working on some mobility and some treading skills. So check that out. I've been putting the two together recently, and just it was an observation that I just happened to notice that people who were having shin splints also had a hard time treading, or at least doing the egg beater. And when I say hard time doing it, they just weren't able to get their feet, knees, and hips into that egg beater position because it's basically a breaststroke kick, just an alternating breaststroke kick. So check that out. That's something I've been working on this last month, and I've noticed huge difference. 1 month made a huge difference in three dudes who could not egg beater at all. In fact, they failed a treading test, and within a month, they are now in that egg beater position and able to do it. And pretty easily too. So check out those stretches. They're really important. And it's an article. It's not anything you have to buy. It's right there. I think I just did that one. Can a person join the Navy as a 40-year-old officer and attend BUDS? Also, what's the likelihood of someone 40 years successfully completing BUDS? Good question. Some people are telling me the age limit has changed. I have not officially heard that, um, but maybe it has. I know you have. It used to be you had till 36 to become an officer. They may have just changed that recently to 40 or even 42. Um, but am doubting you are going to go to buds after the age of 30, especially as an officer. It's one, they don't need people, and two, they don't need old people. So, but that's just my opinion. The Navy may say, nope, we need everybody, which they're not, but you never know. I focused so much on running that my knees were too sore to do a single air squat or lunge, but were still good enough to go jog, which was weird. Okay. Let's see here. Got any more questions? All right. So let me see if I happen to have a video ready to go. I downloaded a couple this week. I think, yeah. Let's see what this one is. I think that was this week. Yep, this was this week. So let me share my screen here. And we'll do a combat swimmer stroke critique. So we got to kick off the wall. That's a decent dolphin kick. When people talk about dolphin kick, a lot of people just kick off and bend their knees, which is not the dolphin kick. If you notice, the dolphin kick looks like the worm if you're trying to, do that funky dance move, right? Um, there you go. That looks really good. It wasn't a whole lot of effort involved, and it's just smooth. Okay, so what do we have here? We have a top arm, bottom arm, kick and glide. This is not bad. He's got the timing down pretty well. He's kind of rushing it. Could glide a little longer, but it's probably because his feet are sinking. You can see his feet sinking there, and he's kind of swimming diagonally. I think a lot of this has to do with this top arm. So if you notice this top arm pull, when he pulls, he's just pulling from the shoulder. He could really get more of a freestyle catch in there where you actually try to get that forearm almost vertical out in front of you, and then you're grabbing water like you're reaching over a barrel and just pulling it and pushing it behind you. That's going to be a little more powerful version than this like windmill version where you're just basically going in a big semicircle from here to there, right? Now, I do notice something too, like he's blowing a lot of bubbles out right here where he's trying to squeeze in an exhale and an inhale in this very moment. I don't really recommend doing that. I'd recommend starting your exhale about right here, right? So start exhaling at the kick, hold this glide a little longer, turn to inhale versus turning to exhale and inhale. It just it's a slight timing issue. That's all. It's not a big deal, but it's a little timing issue. You can see he kind of has to like pause there for a second to like get his whole inhale or exhale out before he inhales, and then he turns his head a little more. So slight timing issue. Probably needs to work on his kick a little more because his feet are dropping. He's got a little extra kick in there too that I don't think he needs. Um, but overall, that's not bad. I mean, it's just slow. So if you start it off, it looks like he starts off at 2 seconds, and he goes until when's he touch? 55. So it's about 53 second 50 there. Not bad. I mean, It's not horrible. It's doable. Um, there's just some fine tuning that I would do just to make it a little bit easier for you. And you may find that if you pull a little better, that's going to almost like bring you up to step, bring those feet a little better, and you might not even have to worry about your kick that much. That big arm pull really does help with um, with getting your body position flatter. All right, let's see what we got here. Just got the egg beater down, but so negative that I have to lean my head back when I keep my hands out of the water and basically sink with the brick no matter hard I kick. Well, I will say this. You don't fully have the egg beater down. It shouldn't matter that you are negative if you're kicking hard enough. So keep practicing and make sure that you are actually pushing water down with your feet like you're kicking a soccer ball to the bottom of the pool in order to produce downward force so your head stays up out of the water without using your arms, right? So the egg beater is pushing water down with the inside of your feet alternating. So a lot of people screw up and think they got the egg beater down when they're spinning their legs in a circle like an egg beater, and it doesn't really help. So the egg beater is there for you to hold a brick, hold a 20-pound medicine ball, whatever, right? I was watching water polo players the other day at Navy do their workout, and they had like a 10 and a 20-pound medicine ball treading it with their chest was out of the water. I mean, it was ridiculous. And those guys are pretty lean, right? They're don't have a lot of body fat on them, so they are producing a lot of force with that egg beater. Now, that's the professional level of egg beater. If you can get your egg beater anywhere close to that, that's exceptional. Um, I would say I'm nowhere near that level of egg beater, but I can egg beater for 15 minutes and keep my head above water, but no hands. So keep practicing. Make sure your egg beater is producing downward force. How much time do you recommend getting used to finning before shipping out to buds? Months, at least. I would start finning regardless of your PST score. Like I said, we do finning on leg day. So 2 times a week, at least, sometimes a third, we will swim with fins year round. Right? It doesn't matter who you are when you come into our program, you're going to be swimming with fins on leg day. Now, they may not be the big rocket fins yet, and we'll build you up to that with the slip on snorkel fins, float fins. I think I use, what are my float fins I use? Let me see if I can show you what I like. Sporty, that's what they're called. SPORTI. So I use this brand here when I go, and I'll just put a link in the thing. I use this brand here for beginner swimming with fins. They're just slip-on fins from Sporty. Swim teams usually use them, um, and they're pretty good. I go to swimoutlet.com. You can probably get them on Amazon too. Um, but yeah, you definitely want to be adding in swimming with fins. So it doesn't matter what your time is on the PST. In fact, swimming with fins can often correct a scissor kick issue that you might be having. So, because you can't cheat a scissor kick with a pair of fins on, or even flutter kicking, right? There's only one way to do it. There's no like accidental breaststroke that it turns into when you're kicking. Um, so, yeah, try that. I do it, like I said, I do it on leg days. Every leg day ends with a swimming with fins. Did it today, even myself. Would you suggest incorporating creatine with your supplementation regimen, or would that be for bodybuilding enthusiasts? It's up to you. I mean, a lot of guys use creatine. I'm not a fan. Um, I just had a big discussion with my son, who's freshman in college, and he's big into lifting right now, talking about using it. In fact, I bought him some. And if you're going to buy it from Thorne. Okay, buy it from Thorne. They're really good at, you're getting creatine. You're not getting a lot of filler stuff. The reason why I like Thorne is because the U.S. Olympic Committee actually uses them as their supplement provider. But here's the deal: you can't use this stuff at Buds. You can't use any supplements at Buds or PEDs for that matter. Yes, they have been tested for PEDs and they're getting kicked out for it. So, not a fan of those. Most people, anybody that tells you you need supplements or PEDs, um, they're wrong. And most of the time, the people you're getting that advice from are people who did not make it through the program and said, I wish I'd have been on supplements. Maybe I made it through it. Or, um, they quit or failed, or they're cheaters if they made it through on it. So why would you want to do that? It's not the way to go. Um, but if you're not going into the military, screw it. Use all the supplements you want. I've just never been a big fan of them. I mean, let me show you what I take. I take some vitamin D supplementation, and I take Smarty Pants men's formula multivitamin. That's it. Now I do have, I will say this: I do have some athletic greens that I will mix in a thing of almond milk. Um, though the neat thing about that is if you look on the back, like on the back of this, it says supplement facts. I don't know if you can see that well enough. It says supplement facts on it. Okay. That's because it's a supplement. If it was a food, it would say nutrition facts on the back. And the athletic greens, the whey protein, the pure whey proteins actually have nutrition facts written on the back. So there you go. It is actually considered a food, some supplements. Tips for short swimmers and running. Um, it really comes down to you having a really good body position. You may have to stroke a little more, like your cadence in swimming as well as running may be a little shorter and faster. Nothing wrong with that. I actually have a video of a short guy swimming um, CSS, and you can see he's really kind of, he throws in some flutter kicks, he throws in some higher stroke counts than normal, but he's a competitive swimmer, so he's in shape to do that. And he became a SEAL as a short guy. Um, um, so the technique is basically you may have to work a little harder than the average guy. That's all. So just being conditioned to be able to handle more strokes and to be able to handle a higher cadence on running. Hey Stu, what is your advice when running your mile and a half? On my second to third lap, I'm winded because I'm not breathing correctly, or as I keep going, not keeping a good pace. Probably two things. One, you probably started off too fast and you can't maintain it. You went aerobic a little bit too quickly. And the other one is you need to get in better running shape because it's a conditioning issue if you get slower. So practice your pace, whatever that goal pace is, practice it multiple sets. So for instance, if I'm trying to pass a mile and a half and I want to do it in 9 minutes, I'm going to spend a significant amount of time during the week doing, not every day, but a couple days, um, doing 10, maybe 8 to 10 quarter miles in 90 seconds, right? That is going to help me train to understand the pace that I need. And then the recovery gets shorter and shorter as you get better and better. And eventually, instead of having to rest a minute in between each set, you're able to put all of those together and you hit a 90-second um, quarter for 6 quarters, and you got a 9-minute timed run. Um, all right. Golf is telling me, he asks me, can I swim? Yes, I can swim. And he likes swimming too. That's great. Hey, Stu, when you do the CSS with rocket fins, do you swim on your side and, of course, switch from strong to weak, or do you turn to face the floor after your scissor kick? Great question. I've answered this a dozen times at least, probably in the last year. Don't feel bad if you didn't get it. Um, there's two ways to do this swim: one with fins and one without fins, right? Um, without fins, I like to roll over on my belly, right? It's just a glide thing. I don't like to stay on my side, just feels funny. But with fins, it is awkward to do a decent sized kick on your belly because your heels keep popping out of the water. So stay on your side, then you can get your bigger scissor kicks on the side, or even medium sized flutter kicks are still a little bit better. All right. Hey, golf, quit blowing up my inbox. All right. I don't know what you're saying. I'm just going to block you because you're annoying. All right. Let me see if I got another video. I thought I did. I'm afraid I may not. Shoot. You know what? This may be an old one, but I haven't done it in a while. So I apologize. Oh, it's an old one, all right. It's me. So I'm going to show you how to do it perfectly. How's that? This would be kind of fun. I'm going to critique my own self. All right. So this is me, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is me. All right. So I kick off the wall. There's my little dolphin kick, double arm pull, transition. Now, a lot of people say you can't do the dolphin arm, can't do the dolphin kick with the double arm pull anymore. Some people rule it. If that's the rules, then skip it and just go right into your stroke. But if you do that, make sure you definitely get a good kick off the wall and then you transition into the stroke. So now I want to show you something here. Notice whenever I pull, see how I try to get my arms vertical as quickly as possible out in front of me. That's a really powerful double arm pull. And it's also, if you just do it on one arm, that's how it's going to look when you're doing a freestyle catch as well. All right, so there you go. You got a transition, top arm, bottom arm, kick and glide, one Mississippi, two Mississippi, pull. Yep. I notice I picked my head up a little bit, probably just looking for the wall. That's all right if you're doing that. There, I could probably keep my head a little more tucked instead of looking forward. Top arm, bottom arm, kick, hold the glide. Boom. Yeah, that's me doing what is that, a 46? Let's see how long it took me to kick off the wall. So yeah, 45 second, 50. So that pace right there, even though it might have looked slow, it's actually a 7:30 pace. So I swam a 500 the other day just actually, it was a warm up that I felt pretty good on, and I got a 750. Just kind of kicking the water around. Um, so this is roughly about that same pace, 47 seconds. Hey, so when okay, you already asked me that, or I already answered that. You guys got any more questions? Let me know. I think we hit some of these pretty well. I do recommend mobility for getting better at treading. I recommend mobility for helping you with your shin splints. In fact, you can tread and work mobility and get recovered from shin splints at the same time. But also read that shin splint article that the doctor of physical therapy wrote. Um, and this is a really good article too. I'm going to share this one since I don't have any questions. Um, share this screen with you here. Chrome tab. Um, so I just posted this up on Instagram yesterday, but this is really important. This is basically preparing to get through the training, aka graduate. And don't miss out on what a majority of spec ops candidates fail to do. They fail to train specifically to get through buds, selection, etc. Right? And I just go through a lot of the different challenges that we all have in training, you know, phase 1 and phase 2 of tactical fitness, explaining the differences between that. Um, also explain my journey of where I learned phase 2 and phase 3, or phase 1 and phase 2 of tactical fitness when I was at the Naval Academy. Um, and then just, phase, and then talking about how that goes into phase 3 of tactical fitness, which is the operator phase. And it's a journey. I mean, you're going to have some downs, you're going to have some failures, right? And then you figure it out, improve, and then next thing you know, you got your goal achievement in there. So, yeah. So, with that, I will answer a few more questions if you got them. How many rest days do you recommend in a week with swimming, rucking, lifting, and running? Good question. Um, for instance, I am swimming 5 times a week. I am running 5 times a week. I am working out a total number of days, 6 days a week. One of those days is a mobility day where there's no running. But there is swimming and treading and stuff like that. Rucking, we do typically once a week, sometimes twice a week, depending on that person's needs. If that person needs to run more, I'll probably keep them on running. If that person needs to ruck more, we'll probably add a ruck to the leg day, earlier week leg day. Um, right now, because we're in this cycle, right now we just happen to be in a lifting week. The way my training is broken up in the spring training program is you do 3 weeks of calisthenics and cardio, no lifting. Um, you're running, you're swimming, you're rucking, and you are doing calisthenics. Now, there may be some weight lift or weight vest stuff in there, so it makes your calisthenics a little harder. That's different, some sandbags, but really you're not lifting any heavy weights. However, on the 4th week, which is we are on week 8 in this one, we are doing um, some lifting, and it's nothing fancy. We reduced the mileage of running just a little bit this week, so it's kind of think of it like a running deload because we're in a running progression. Every week gets a little harder with running, except for this lifting week where we kind of shift our gears a little bit, run less, but we run faster, and then um, just do the lifts and follow it with some swimming still. Just a little less running, a little less repetitions of the calisthenics as well. Focus more on just adding more weight to our movements. Um, But yeah, that's pretty much how it's broken up. These are 6 days a week of workouts. One's a rest day on Sunday typically, and the other one's a Wednesday mobility day. Um, but on mobility day, we work a lot of the technique issues in the water. So take our time doing some mobility work, non-impact cardio, drown proofing, underwater swims, treading. All of those things get addressed on our Wednesdays workouts. How much weight do we use for rucking? Um, we usually go 50 pounds, 50 pounds in a backpack or 50-pound weight vest. Some people would run with a weight vest on. So, yeah, there you go. Let me see. So, I got two different spring training workouts. This one was what we're doing now and what we did last year. This one is what we did the year before, I think probably 2020. Um, the difference is it's spring has weights mixed in with it. So it's almost like a 50-50 mix of weights and calisthenics with a running progression where you start losing the lifting, but you're increasing the running. And then the summer is more calisthenics and cardio, no lifting. However, during that summer phase, there are some supplemental lifts that you can add in there should you need them. Not everybody needs them. Power athletes need to get out of the weight room, but endurance athletes need to get in the weight room to supplement some of those. And it just shows you how to smartly supplement lifting into these type of tactical fitness programs where if you did it, just willy-nilly, you're going to wind up doing upper body 3 days in a row or legs 3 days in a row because you didn't put any thought into it. So let's see other questions. Couple more, and then I got to bail. I got about like 3 minutes. How does a candidate's training priorities change after getting an SO contract compared to before when they're just training for the PST? Well, first of all, training for the PST should be done before you even talk to a recruiter. So when you go and take that PST for your first time, you crush it and you get your contract on the first time versus failing week after week, month after month, and you're just wasting everybody's time. And then your only hopes are to get shipped out on a basically minimum PST score. And you've done nothing to train for the other stuff. That's what typically happens. That's why most people don't make it through, is because their preparation sucks. They just didn't give enough time doing it. But you should already be crushing the PST, already be um, training 4 mile runs and swimming with fins and doing all that stuff long before you talk to a recruiter. So whenever you get your SO contract, you're ready to go within months. But yeah, you should be focusing on getting through the training once you can crush the PST. Whether that is before or after your SO contract, it's up to you. But if you do it after your contract, that means you have very little time to really focus on some of those specific challenges that you're about to face. So it all has to do with your athletic history and how much you need to train. I have some D1 athletes that don't need to do a whole lot after they crush the PST because they're just such good condition and strong and athletic and can go in there and crush it by just focusing on the PST for a few months. But if you're not like that, you may need to add some strength and power and speed, or longer runs or add some endurance. What techniques do you use when you're in a mentally hard situation? I've been working with my mind for a while. Uncomfortable situations, adding some sort of uncomfortable thing every single day. That's good. You should do it every single day because that's how you do it. Just waking up out of bed is your first step, right? Because I get up early. I don't feel like getting up early, but I do anyway. There you go. Just became another step mentally harder. Um, That's how you do it. Just challenge yourself constantly. I think there's nothing wrong with that. Yes, we use weighted bricks in the pool as well. If you check out, let me better answer your question. Mental toughness. I have a mental toughness article with full of pages of, not pages, but articles of mental toughness things I've done in the past. I'll just put it in the comment section, as well as tons of information and podcasts that we've done over the years too. All right, guys, it's 10 o'clock. I have to bail. I actually have a podcast I got to do right now on another channel. So let me go. Guys, check out Stu Smith Fitness. I do have one thing for you. If you haven't seen my CSS critique page on TikTok, got over 100 videos on there. Go check it out. It's one-stop shop for fixing all your CSS. And then if you're still listening and you want to go to StuSmithFitness.com, use the save 20 code, and you will save 20%. All right, guys. Till next time. We'll see you later.